I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday, excuse me, at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, and I share with you some of the things that I'm working on. And today I have for you a stamp set that's relatively new, and it's the one that I haven't worked with yet, but I'm very excited to use, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But it's called Mazel Tov, and we're going to make a Rosh Hashanah card today because Rosh Hashanah is next week. It's the Jewish New Year, and you may have some friends and neighbors and family even that celebrate the holiday. And so we're going to make one of those cards today. So let's flip over to our desktop. Okay, so the stamp set that we're going to work with is called Mazel Tov. And when Stampin' Up! Came out with their Hanukkah set, Miracle of Light, something like that, the original stamp set didn't quite meet the requirements or the opinions of many of the Jewish demonstrators, myself included, although I was ready to live with it, but and make do. But some other people talked a little bit more about it, and so they formed a. I got to join that, and we came up with solutions for how to make the stamp set better, and they improved it right away, and it came out. And what also came out was the need for a more generic stamp set, not just for not for Hanukkah, but for just general Jewish holidays. And I got to be on a brainstorming team for that. And this is the stamp set that we came up with. And we love the way that the artists came out with some more playful designs that represent some of the Jewish holidays. So this right here these are the Torah scrolls. They're supposed to be the Torah scrolls, and that's kind of what they look like. And those are appropriate for maybe bar and bat mitzvahs, where the children actually read from those sacred Torah scrolls. And it can also be used for more religious holidays. Rosh Hashanah, it could be used for that. I did not choose to do that. Wine, this is a glass of wine, and that's pretty much good for a lot of different holidays, particularly Passover and Rosh Hashanah. And this apple and honey are absolutely perfect for the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. It is, one of the sayings is, wishing you a sweet new year. Okay, and so that is part of it. Remember, Rosh Hashanah is falling this time of year, which in the Northern Hemisphere is during the kind of the fall season, right? This is happening on Tuesday. It's a lunar calendar, so it falls at different times each year, but usually in the fall season, and or coming close to it, and that's when the harvests are coming, and so wishing you a sweet new year is just one of the sayings that we have. Honey is a particular ingredient that gets used in a lot of baking and cooking. So that's just a little bit about what these represent. Of course, this is the Star of David, the Jewish star. People use that on pretty much anything that is Jewish. I tend to shy away from it, only because it's kind of overused, I think. Whatever, that's just my opinion. And Lashana Tova, that is how you say this saying right here, and that means, oh gosh, I looked it up this morning to get but it means new year, or good year, right? Because Tova is good, and I really am not an expert on any of this, especially the Hebrew. I just know that Lashana Tova is something that we say, and it's an abbreviation for Lashana Tova Tikvatenu, which is may you be inscribed in the Book of Life. That is what that means. That's all kind of part of the tradition of the Jewish New Year and the different services. And Yom Kippur, it comes at the end of the 10 days of Rosh Hashanah, and that's where we fast, and we are repenting. That's our day of repenting. So kind of like a confessional, or what other religions may do is, looking back on your past year, things that you maybe have done wrong, or the way you might not have wanted to, and how you might go forward in the new year with a fresh start. So anyway, that's where that comes from. We've got Happy Passover, and then On Your is actually separate from Passover. Happy Passover, just so you know. And it's so Mazel Tov would be, you would use the rest of these, like Mazel Tov on your bar mitzvah for a boy, or bat mitzvah for a girl. And Chag Sameach is like more like happy holidays, happy holiday. So that can be used for really anything. But we're going to make a Rosh Hashanah card. So we're going to use the Lashana Tova. That's a lot of history. If you have questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. And I can certainly ask my rabbi, because he's obviously the expert. You would think I would know more about this. And if I wasn't, under the gun, I could come up with it too. But anyway, that is the stamp set. So anyway, I'm excited to use it because I haven't used it. I bought it immediately when it came out, which is just a couple of months ago, and I just haven't had a chance. But now the holiday is next week, and so now it's time. So here's the card that I created. So we'll take a look at that, and I'm going to tell you a little bit how I came up with it. I knew I wanted to use the apple and honey, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to use anything else. So I said to myself, okay, what have I got to work with? And I have to admit, I've been working on holiday cards because I have an ultimate Christmas card class coming up. So I have been working with our new holiday stamp sets from the holiday catalog. So one of the stamp sets I'm going to show you that I had gotten is called Branching Out. And this could be a holiday set, but it's also just a general fall set, or winter. But the reason I bought it is because of the dies, which often happens, but I had to have these layered labels. And I knew that I wanted to have the Lashana Tova, so I needed something kind of large to work with. And I wanted the apples and honey. So originally I decided I was going to die cut one of the labels, and I thought this would be the perfect size. And I was going to put Lashana Tova at the bottom and the apples and honey at the top, and maybe not even cut them out. So that's what I was thinking. But I went to cut everything out and went to stamp on it, and this was just a little too wide. And I really didn't want to make it even bigger because that wasn't going to work for me. And so I said, okay, well, let's rethink this. How would I, what else could I do? And I did like the idea of making a card that had a, something a little bit more interesting to it. And so I decided to go horizontal instead of vertical, which left me with more room. So I said, okay, well, let me add the wine glass, because that does go nicely with the holiday. And that is how I kind of came up with this. So we're going to talk about the ingredients as we make the card. Boy, I said a lot of stuff there. So let's go ahead and get going. So the first thing is I cut a piece of cardstock, and I originally cut it 8.5 by 5.5 as I normally do. I scored it down the middle, and then I said, okay, I'm going to chop off just 1.25 inches from this side so that I could add a little bit of greenery to the card. And this paper is actually the flip side of the Painterly Pears. So I went looking, through my different just designer series papers because I wanted something green. I found this pattern, and so that's how I decided the color scheme too, because I said, okay, well, this is Old Olive. We're going to go ahead and add this to the card front. So let's go ahead and grab our adhesive. Oh my goodness, it's right here. So let's go ahead, and this is 1 inch by 5 1/4. And we're just going to put that over here. So again, when I was originally thinking the card, I said, oh, this would be nice. And we'll put we'll have it overlap over here and it'll open like that. But that's not how it's going to work this time. So we're going to go horizontal, and it just goes to show that it's so easy to just flex, if you will. So next up, we have some designer series paper. Now this is single-sided. It's actually from last year, but it's still available. It's in the online store. This is the Distressed Regals paper, and I wanted just a little bit of gold because it's a holiday, and it's an important holiday, and so, you need a little glitz or something special for that. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the front. This piece is 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. And so we've got the basis of our card. We're also going to take a piece the same size of just some basic white cardstock to put on the inside so that I can write my messages when I send this to family. Here we go. We'll put this inside. It gets hidden. Click it a little close over here. All right. So there we go. We've got that. So I already showed you how I die cut this from the branching out dies. And so this is actually, let's look at it so that you know, because this could be made into any card, right? So this is the 3rd largest or 4th smallest of the, the 4th. From the small, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, like that. I don't know why I can't figure out how to say that, but we've got that. And then I did in Old Olive, I went ahead and did the next size so that they will layer beautifully. Now, before I want to stamp it first, so I'm going to take that Lashana Tova, and I'm going to use my Old Olive ink, and I'm going to just stamp that right down here. I love, love, love the mix of the fonts, and then the font that they chose for the script, I think is just really pretty, and I wish we'd see that in more stamp sets. So maybe one day we will. Okay, and then these two will go together. And we have it. And when we add it to our card, we want to make sure that we only put adhesive on the top portion of this so that the card will still open. And I think that that really adds a lot to a card to make it, a fun fold, if you will. We do like to generally talk about them as fun folds, but it's just an interesting way that the cards open and close. And there we go. We have the way that our card opens. So now we want to go ahead and stamp and color our different elements. So I'm just going to take a piece of basic white. I'm going to take my Memento inks, and I'm going to stamp my apples and honey, and also my wine glass. And I didn't use the scrolls, even though that they are appropriate, because to me scrolls are a little holier and these are a little more lighter. So to me, I keep them separate. But you do you. So now I took out some colors of markers that I wanted, and I brought out both the light and the dark. Hi, Beth from California. So excited that you're joining today. Nice to see you. So I took our markers, and these are the Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to start with the light colors, and I'm just going to show you in general. I mean, I don't really think that you need to see me color exactly everything, but do you get the idea? This is real red, so I wanted a red apple. Could have made a green apple, I guess, but I prefer the red apples, especially on a card, much more recognizable. And I'm going to pull in that Old Olive by making sure that my leaf is Old Olive. And it turns out this is the only Old Olive in the image. I think I thought there was going to be more when I originally designed it, but that's all there was. And so you can see I'm just coloring using the light, and I'm also just using the bullet tip because I have enough trouble staying in the lines. And so this helps me stay within the lines. This is pecan pie, And for this one, I am making sure that I leave room so that the honey is actually coming off of the little scooper thing. I'm sure there's a word for that. If anybody knows what that word is for the scooper of the honey, feel free to let me know. And then I'm going to use Darling Duckling. So last month we had a sale on the items that had in colors, this year's in colors, and Darling Duckling is one of the colors. Not my favorite color, but I will tell you, when it comes to pears and when it comes to honey, this color is just right. The other yellows were just too bright, I felt. And I decided that Darling Duckling was going to be the perfect color for the honey. So there you go. You see that I've got that colored in. I am going to go back with the dark of each of these and just go over where the black lines are, you know, and maybe just a little bit on where I made it light, just to give it, it gives it a little bit of dimension or texture, if you will. So again, I'm just going to come in here, especially for this, because this little doohickey, you know, is like a roller, right? So that's how we have that. And then in our leaf, I'm going to go and just put a little bit on here and just go over the lines, and it just sort of blends. Now, if you really wanted to blend, you would come back in with the light color, go over it again, but I don't really, most of the time, I don't think that's necessary. For my wine, I knew that it had to be Blackberry Bliss. To me, a glass of Manischewitz wine is the color of Blackberry Bliss. If you've never had Manischewitz wine, you don't know what you're missing. It is not my favorite. It is very, very, very sweet and kind of heavy. It's a kosher wine. I don't know why, but that is the traditional wine that you know, you want to have for Rosh Hashanah and Passover. So here are the items, and you really don't need to sit here and watch me fussy cut. So here they are cut out, and you can see I put them on here. I think I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to make it a little bit more playful this time, and I'm going to put it on an angle, and I'm going to use my little mini dimensionals for this because the bottom of the wine glass needs it to be a mini. So rather than mix up my dimensionals, we're just going to go with those. Now you could always go back and add, you know, ribbon if you wanted to, but I felt like the gold in the paper was enough to make it a fancy enough card for the holiday. And let's see, you know, I always worry about placement and such, but I don't want to spill my wine, right? So let's tip it like that. So anyway, so here we have it. So that is my take on a Rosh Hashanah card. So yeah, that's it. So let me show you the Mazel Tov set again. And again, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them about Rosh Hashanah. But it is it's a nice time to send a card, and it's a happy holiday, and it is you know, it's the start of a new year. It's a fresh start, and so it is a big family event. I have, you know, 15 people coming for dinner, and we're going to be cooking and cooking and cooking this weekend. So that's what's going on in my little Stampin' area today. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and we will see you the next time. Thanks.